mescaline experience, and he started tweaking the mescaline molecule, and he tried testing on animals and wasn't noticing anything, and he's like,
meanwhile those raccoons are just tripping their dicks off. They're like, yeah, dude, I won't dig through any trash. Holy shit, man. Holy shit, my legs grew out. And then my hands grew out. And then I understood why I have fingers. Like a raccoon being tested on with its fingers. It's like, what is fucking happening? Yeah. I'm due. I'm due for a big one. And I think I'm gonna probably wait till the tour's over.
Yeah.
Once the hour's taped, it's safely done.
That's a good idea.
Because I don't want to crack open and go, well, I don't like that whole middle chunk.
Oh my God! People always ask me if I trip on stage, like during the show.
Sure.
It was always when I started doing psychedelic shows 11 years ago. I had to have like I had to have a question, a Q&A in the show description of common questions, like, should I come on drugs? I'm like, it's really meant to simulate a trip more than like be on psychedelics and things like that. But one of the common questions is, are you going to be on drugs while performing? And like, I just don't know why that would be entertaining for people. But I mean, it's fun when you hear like, whoa, this band during Woodstock was on 20 hits of acid or whatever. But I wouldn't want to see a band more if they're like, we're going to dose tonight. Yeah. I'd be like,
is it going to be tight? I don't know if the music's going to be tight. Well, there is the times I've done Ari's storytelling show in Montreal on mushrooms. And
what was that like?
Good until it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's good until it wasn't. He was like, everyone on the lineup, it was at Montreal. He's like, everyone on the lineup is going to do mushrooms. And I was there first, because I think it was like one of my first years doing Montreal. So I ate 2.5 grams, and then I hung out.
Okay, yeah, that's not crazy.
Not crazy. And I knew it wasn't going to be crazy. I can handle under 3 pretty well. Yeah. But it'll launch me for a little bit. And I was like, all right. And then I remember smoking a joint upstairs in that, it was at Cleopatra's, that like strip club.
Yeah.
And then Ari comes into the room and he goes, bad news. You and I are the only two that did mushrooms. No one else wants to do them. And I was like, what? And then he's like, and the show's starting. And I was like, all right. And he goes, but you're on mushrooms. Do you want to go first? And I went, yes. I want this over with right now, which is the worst headspace to be in when you're about to have a fucking 6 or 7 hour trip.
Yeah.
And then I went on stage and it was going well because I was telling about the story about doing mushrooms in high school. And I took them before my friend and he had to drive my car. So we're like talking about, it's almost like, can we get away from the cops? And I'm like, I'm doing a good job. Laughs per minute, making it funny, and then one of the lights on the stairs went, and then it went, and then it went off, and it went up, and then my whole entire attention was like, "Was that real?" And people were like, "Was what real?" Because no one saw it. It was one of the lights from under the stair, so you don't trip. And I went, "That light, did that go off?" And then it was. I just unraveled. Right. And by the end, I went, anyways, the cops pulled us over. I didn't even have like a punchline for this. And then I left and walked around Montreal by myself I remember I had an iPod at the time. It was before iPhones.
Yeah.
So, no, it must have been like, I had an Android. So it must have been like 2012, 2013. And I remember like putting my iPod on and being like, I'm just going to walk around and listen. And then
what you want to do.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, of course.
I remember listening to Phil Collins outside of a French church in Montreal and being like, one more night. I was like, this is incredible. I had a great time. But performing, no thanks.
That was my experience. Every time I performed, I was like, I want to be looking at trees right now. Like it's not like it really hurt the performance too much, but it was like I was just on autopilot. And then I'm like zoomed out. I'm having like an out of body experience watching the stupid thing that I do for my life.
Yeah, that's when you really realize, you go, we're all organisms and I'm a dumb one. What am I doing? I'm just talking for a living?
No, when I'm not on tour, I'll trip and like try to write about it and articulate the experiences so I have something to talk about when I'm touring. But when you're on tour, so especially the older you get, the more you realize, like, no, I want a few days afterwards to think about some of what happened. And
yeah, I'm really interested to do a trip. I think it might really just, even if it's like less than 3 grams of mushrooms, just to be back again and just to get launched and go like, oh yeah, we're all just an organism on this rock.
There's so many different it's changing so much because of the decriminalization of things that you can get kind of specifically what you want. Like 2CB is this research chemical that's especially good for something like a concert because it's mushroom visuals and MDMA like body and feel, but no head trip. Like you're clear headed.
What? That's crazy. That would be, both Pip and I are looking at each other like that would be fucking fantastic. Yeah. That does feel like at least we're at that part of science where you go, we can make some cool trips.
Yeah. Well, that was this guy, Alexander Shulgin, Sasha Shulgin. He was a chemist in the 50s. One of the legends in the field. He made a fortune making some fertilizer for Dow Chemical, and they're like, here's your own lab, just do whatever you want. And he had an influential mescaline experience, and he started tweaking the mescaline molecule, and he tried testing on animals and wasn't noticing anything. And he's like,
meanwhile, those raccoons are just tripping their dicks off. They're like, yeah, dude, I won't dig through any trash. Holy shit, man. Holy shit, my legs grew out. And then my hands grew out. And then I understood why I have fingers. Like a raccoon being tested on with its fingers. It's like, what is fucking happening?
yeah, but you can't see from the outside.
Man,
it's
to be a lab rat for that versus like, you know what I mean?
Getting tumors put in you or whatever.
Go, oh, we're going to hit this one with radiation. You go, no, but this one you're like, brother, can I get a cigarette? That was unbelievable. So he got this whole... is like lab to himself,
and he was like, we need to test it on humans, but it would be unethical because even with the best chemistry and neuroscience, you have no idea like what this new thing is going to do or what is the right dosage. And so he decided the only ethical thing to do was to test it on himself. Hero.
Listen, this goes back to my thing that I'm preaching on several podcasts across anytime I can get on a mic, I'm going to preach it. I've been shorthand terming it, calling it Dan's Law, but I think we should, where I believe that if you own a company, you need to work there. So to me, this falls right in line. If you're a scientist, you better try it on yourself first. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm not going to, like, you can't be a board member of Dow and go, I like this chemical. You go, no, I need the motherfucker in the lab that's like, boop, all right, here I go. That's what I want. Accountability, baby.
Yeah, and he took a lot for the team because he made over 1,000 chemicals, new psychedelics, and he liked 1 out of 5.
Whoa! Which meant 4 times it was tough. 4 times he went, no. But that one time he had to go. That was pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. Especially in the 50s where like people were sleeping in suits. Like you had to like wear a suit to go to bed. That's how dressed up they were and like pinned up, being like, brother, I launched myself.
Yeah. Well, this is in Oakland, so people were like a little looser.
Shout out.
And
that's where the Soder family immigrated to. Shout out to East Bay.
And if he liked it, he would give it to his wife, Anne.
Cool.
And then if she liked it, then they would invite friends over for a weekend.
That's the invite.
And they had these like Good Friday experiments. And then they would all do this brand new psychedelic that they had never, that he had just concocted for the first time. And then they would write a paper about it and publish it. He did get let go from Dow.
Too fun. We're letting you go for being 2 people. Like to the point where they would come on TV.
Meanwhile, you're a wrestling fan and stuff.
And they're all over the place. She's watching Doink with all the little clowns. But I remember specifically us watching Austin Powers' Spy Who Shagged Me and Mini-Me. She was like, no. Like, not even, I mean, I was laughing, but like, she was like, no, I'm not playing. I don't fuck with that shit. I can't do that. And then finally, when I was older, she told me the story of her and her friend took 20 hits of acid in downtown San Francisco and were walking around, and they went into a giant hotel. I think it was like a Marriott downtown. And they went up to the banquet hall, and it opened up, and it was a little person convention. And she was like 16 years old and like tripping, and they were all like talking to her and like grabbing her arms, and she was like, no. And it just fucked her up until the day she died. Like, she would not fuck with little people in any way. Like, and I was like, what are you talking about? They're small. You're big. What are you worried about? She's like, she called me Danny. She goes, Danny, I don't fuck with that. I don't want to fuck with that. And I always remember that. And then when she told me that story, I was like, well, yeah, you were tripping.
Yeah.
And then an elevator opened up, and everyone was half the size. You were Gulliver in Gulliver's Travels. Of course you were freaked out. And she was like, yeah, I don't know. But is that like, I don't know. I think of her when I think of psychedelics in the Bay Area, because she would be like, because my grandmother had her committed when she was a teenager for doing acid. She did acid. She got in trouble and she did acid alone in her room. And she came out and was like watching TV with my grandma, and she was like, whoa, shit, you got snakes in your hair. My grandma was like, what? And she was like laughing. She's like, you got snakes in your hair. This shit's wild. And my grandmother's from Oklahoma. It's like a button-up conservative, was like, oh, my daughter lost her mind.
Yeah.
And I think Aunt Karen told me she did like 15 or 16 hits of acid. So she was up there for a while.
Yeah.
They drove her to the mental institution. And then like a day later, she called and she was like, no, I was on drugs. Please come get me. This is crazy. And I was like, damn, that's what it was like in the 60s.
Yeah.
Like, the regular community didn't understand what psychedelics were.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean you're taking acid? What is acid?
Now it's like,
I think it was like, yeah, like she was born in 50, so it must have been like 68 to like 73.
now there's like frat houses doing mushrooms, like instead of having kegs and stuff.
Crazy.
It's weird. And there's like the, oh, you're like the mega mushroom person, and you're the.
It doesn't feel like it connects on any level. How are you taking that and not looking at Trump with his bronzer on his face and not being like, yo, this is fucking me up? To think you take any sort of mushroom and look at a politician, like any politician,
Any
and
politician.
go, yeah. Where you go, they're the peak of phoniness.
Yeah.
They're like I couldn't imagine watching a campaign speech and take blue or red out of it, but watching someone being like, and I'm going to do this, and being on mushrooms and being like, yeah. It really,